नमस्कार दोस्तों, मेरा नाम है कर्मयोगी दिवाकर बोथरा और मैं आप सबका स्वागत करता हूं अपनी सीरीज सोशियोलॉजी इन 10 मिनट्स। इस एपिसोड के अंदर अभी तक इस सीरीज के अंदर अभी तक हमने वर्क एंड इकोनॉमिक लाइफ तक के हर सब टॉपिक कवर किए हुए हैं। आज हम स्टार्ट करेंगे द लेंथीएस्ट ऑफ ऑल द चैप्टर्स ऑफ पेपर 1, दैट इज पॉलिटिक्स एंड सोसाइटी और पावर एंड पॉलिटिक्स। आज का एपिसोड नंबर है 54 एंड दिस इज द एपिसोड फ्रॉम वेयर वी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम पॉलिटिक्स एंड सोसाइटी। फर्स्ट पार्ट करूंगा थियरीज ऑफ पावर। You need to understand, as far as this chapter is concerned, I've written a lot of data as far as the board is concerned, as far as the theories is concerned, but it's not practically possible to largely cover all the theories of power in 10 minutes. So the detailed content is written. You can take a screenshot of that so that you can largely revise or you can largely understand these theories in more depth when you are referring your respective materials. But at least from this next 10 minutes, you will understand the essence of all the theoretical orientations with respect to the sociology of power, and at the same time you will also able to understand which theory may stand more relevant in contemporary times. So let's start. What is the meaning of power? Before knowing the various theoretical nuances as far as the power is concerned, you first need to understand what's the meaning of power. Power refers to, Max Weber's definition of power is one of the most famous, most acceptable, or you can also say one of the very genuine explanations of power as such. According to Max Weber, Weber defined power. Weber believed that domination is of two types, but in that one of that such type of domination is power. According to Max Weber, power refers to getting your will. Power refers to a mechanism where one largely is able to pursue his one's will despite the resistance from others. तो इसका मतलब ये है, कई बार हम बच्चों को डांटते हैं and we largely enforce our will on those kids. They may not like it, they may not want to follow it, but they still have to follow because there is a dependency of those children's, or maybe there is a love, there is an acceptance of that particular aspect. So according to Max Weber, power refers to a practice when one largely is able to pursue one's will despite the resistance of others. This despite the resistance of others largely is crucial as far as the understanding of power is concerned, as it gives the connotation of forced power, practice of power. Bertrand Russell also defined power, whose definition is again really magical as such. According to Russell, power refers to producing or production of intended results. कि आपके पास capacities है to largely produce the intended results. That's actually a power. So if you are able to largely produce the results which your intentions are, then you are said to have power in the Russellian term. Meet. So if you really want to understand sociology in a more pragmatic manner, this is the batch, or you know where you should be. Theories of power. If you look into the total theories of power which are largely mentioned in the various sociological books, although it's not the only aspects of power, we see that constant sum view कार्ल मार्क्स और वेबर की राइटिंग में आता है, वेरिएबल सम व्यू टालकट पार्सन्स की राइट में आता है, एलीट थियरी जो क्लासिकल और कंटेम्पररी दो टाइप की है, परेटो मॉस का क्लासिकल है और CW मिल्स कंटेम्पररी एलीट थियरी का वर्जन देते हैं ऑफ पावर, एंड द लास्ट एंड नॉट द लीस्ट वन, द प्लूरलिस्टिक थियरी ऑफ Robert Dahl, who wrote an article, Who Governs. Let's look into this theory in a very synoptic manner. What's the constant sum view of power? Constant sum view of power means that the total power in the society remains constant. And according to this view, there are certain people who has power in the societies, and this largely leads to certain people who do not have access to those power. That means it's a win and lose situations. When some has powers, the others will not have power. This aspect of this understanding of power is largely seen in the writings of Max Weber and Karl Marx. According to Max Weber, there are various dimensions of power through which such as class, status, or political parties. On the other hand, in the Marxian term, the power largely the power is present in those people who largely control the forces of production. So therefore, constant sum view of power talks about that the power holders would always use their power for the benefits of themselves rather than for the benefits of society, which is clearly reflected in the writings of Max Weber and Karl Marx. The difference between Weberian and Marxian understanding of constant sum view of power is that when Weber advocates multiple dimensions of power, Marx only equates power with the economic power as such. This constant sum view of power was later rejected by Talcott Parsons' understanding of power, where Parson understood or studied the Sioux Indian societies and highlighted that how Parson, being a functionalist, advocated in his variable sum view of power that total power in the society largely is not constant. How? Because he advocated that in every society there exist different types of subsystems, and each subsystem plays its allocated role. Till the time the societies or every subsystem is able to play its role adequately, then those systems have power. And if there comes a situations when these systems are not able to adequately optimally perform their functions, the functions of systems, the power of such system reduces. अगर synoptically एक simple तरीके से बताऊं तो if you look into 1940s 1950s, we often saw that the political leaders largely carried more power, although the same power is present with the contemporary political leaders. But however, we see that because उनका power ज़्यादा क्यों था in Parsonian terms, because they perform their allocated functions successfully, जहां पे उन लोगों के डिसीजंस लोगों के हित में थे लार्जली। तो हमारा शायद फेथ हमारे 40s 50s के लीडर्स पे ज्यादा था। और आज के टाइम में जो पॉलिटिकल लीडर्स देखते हैं, हालांकि उनके पास ज्यादा पावर है, ज्यादा एस्पेक्ट्स है, ज्यादा लीगल और बैकिंग कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल बैकिंग से डिफरेंट टाइप्स की और ऑटोनॉमी, बट स्टिल वी सी दैट द फेथ ऑफ द पीपल ऑन दोस पीपल हैव लार्जली कम डाउन बिकॉज दे more or less today are not playing their allocated functions optimally as such, as they are more concerned about their political aspects rather than looking into the social and the economic and the psychological impacts of their decisions as far as the people of India are concerned. So according to variable sum, the total power in the society varies. The whether system has more or less power depends upon whether they are performing their allocated functions. Coupled with this, Parson, because of its functionalist orientations, also advocated that the power is always functional in the society. Certain people who have a better higher degree of power, they use the power for not their own benefits but for the benefits of the larger society. It is here where he gave the examples of marshals with respect to the Sioux Indian society. As far as the elite theory is concerned, elite theory is largely talking about certain sections of people who are having power, and they largely are elites of those societies. This elite theory is divided into two: classical elite theory and the contemporary elite theory. Classical elite theory is reflected in the writings of Pareto and Mosca. What exactly is the essence of classical elite theory? According to classical elite theory, elite exists in all the societies. Second, elites are always good for the society. But the variation between these two people is this: that the Pareto advocates that the basis of becoming elites are psychological characteristics, derivatives as such, where he gave his theory of lions and foxes and that circulation of elite which is largely present. On the other hand, according to Mosca, the elites are largely the results of organizational capacity. The people who are able to organize and manage the resources well, they become elites. Therefore, one talks about elite is elite. The formation of elite depends upon psychological qualities. One talks about organizational capacities. The similarities between God and both of these people is this: that both largely highlights the personal characteristics in order to largely become an elite, and both largely advocate that elites are always universal and elite rule is largely functional in the societies as such. But this understanding of classical elite theory was later rejected by the contemporary elite theory, who gave the theory. This theory largely developed in the writings of C.W. Mills in 1950s and 60s when he conducted a holistic study of United States. Classical elite theory psychological qualities पे चलती है और या फिर personal qualities पे चलती है, including organizational behavior. Contemporary elite theory 1950s में C.W. Mills अमेरिका की स्टडी से आती है. C.W. Mills, this is also called as middle range theory. Why? According to Mills, this is the only situation of America. It cannot be blindly applied to all other societies outside the American society. The theory says what? Elites are largely the results of institutions. One becomes elites not because of one's personal abilities or capabilities, rather than one becomes elites because he occupies those powerful positions in societies. और ये क्या टाइप के होते हैं elites? दो टाइप की positions होती है सोसाइटी में, एक होती है systems, एक होती है segments. और जो लोग सिस्टम को कंट्रोल करते हैं वो सिस्टमैटिक एलीट्स और सेगमेंटल एलीट्स. सेगमेंटल एलीट्स का मतलब होता है दैट द पावर ऑफ दोस पीपल आर रेस्ट्रिक्टेड ओनली टू दोस रेस्पेक्टिव सेगमेंट्स. फॉर एग्जांपल, द पावर ऑफ क्रिकेटर्स इज ओनली रेस्ट्रिक्टेड टू ओनली एज फार एज द क्रिकेट इन्फ्लुएंस इज कंसर्न्ड, मोर और लेस. System elites are considered as more powerful elites as they largely carry their will, or they largely can produce the intended results throughout the societies, not restricted to only particular segments. In contemporary time, we can largely see, just for the sake of examples, that the political representatives are one such elites in India. सिस्टम एलिट्स के अंदर आता है पावर एलिट्स. पावर एलिट्स तो नॉर्मली क्या है, सोसाइटी ऐसे एलिट तरीके से डिवाइडेड है: सेगमेंटल एलिट्स, सिस्टम एलिट्स, और इस सिस्टम एलिट्स की टॉप मोस्ट पोजीशन जो होती है वो होती है पावर एलिट्स. अकॉर्डिंग टू CW Mills, there are three power elites which are present in the American society. One is the political elite, economic elite and the military elite. He advocates तीनों के बीच में एक sort of गठबंधन होता है, बाहर दिखाई देता है कि they largely fight among each other, but overall there is a common consensus present that they all know that they are the elites of the societies, and this common view of world is developed because of the common educations and common socialization patterns of these societies. Therefore, C.W. Mill's elite theory largely gives a new perspective of power, where he advocates that elite is not only always functional, elite is not formed on the basis of personal qualities, elite is formed on the institutional qualities, and many times there is a possibility that the elites may largely use their power for their own benefits. If you compare both of these theories, one gives importance to structures, or that is what I'm saying is institutions, personal characteristics. हमेशा ये यूनिवर्सैलिटी की बात करता है. यहाँ पे यूनिवर्सैलिटी ऑफ एलिट्स का कोई कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है, सिर्फ अमेरिका की एक पर्टिकुलर स्टडी रेस्ट्रिक्टेड है. यहाँ पे फंक्शंस और डिसफंक्शंस दोनों हो सकते हैं. They largely advocate that the elites are more or less functional or always functional in the society as such. Beside all these perspectives, there is another perspective which largely came as a critique to elite theory, pluralistic theory of power, which largely comes as a critique to both Marx and as well as the elite theory as such. Pluralistic theory largely developed in the writings of Robert Dahl, which came directly as a rejection to C.W. Mills and indirectly as a rejection to Karl Marx as well. Theory क्या बोलता है? The power is well dispersed in the society. There is no single positions. There is no single factor upon which one carries the power. Rather than there are multiple factors and institutions. It's against the absolute power, as the power is well dispersed. Nobody is having the ultimate superiority or sovereignty in the society as such. Interest of all the people are largely presented, as everybody carries the capacities to largely influence every other systems in the society. But however, this pluralistic theory, although it gives a modern perspective as far as the power is concerned, but we do see that it is not free of critique as such. We do see that it is not reality that almost everybody has a power. In India, we do see, or in fact almost any democracies, we do see that the democracy largely refers to the system where the people largely carries the power. But we have seen Cambridge Analytica, the questions raised on EVMs and various other manifestations where the people's power has become more or less a mockery as such. Polonzas, a Marxist, advocates that how we often see that this picture of everybody has power is purposefully created in order to largely keep you completely in that false class consciousness, as you start feeling that yes, I have the power as such, but in reality it is the power elite of your society which largely takes all the power as such. और जो नॉर्मली हम देखते हैं सलमान खान के केस, शाहरुख खान के केस, या फिर बड़े बड़े नेता विधायक, या फिर बॉलीवुड सेलिब्रिटीज और एनीबडी एल्स हु लार्जली हैव एक्सेप्शनल पावर, हमारा और उनका ट्रीटमेंट शायद बराबर तो नहीं होता है, किताबों में जरूर बराबर है, बट रियलिटी में अगर हम देखें तो वी आर नॉट इक्वल्स एज सच. और इसके लिए एक लेटेस्ट मूवी आई थी अक्षय कुमार की, फैंस करके या सेल्फी करके एक मूवी थी, इमरान हाशमी एंड अक्षय कुमार. वी ऑफन सी दैट कि वो पुलिस वाला अपना प्रोसीजर जब फॉलो करता है तो भी उसका सीनियर आके बोलता है क्यों इनको आप हरास कर रहे हो, क्या प्रोसीजर फॉलो करना हरासमेंट है? और अगर प्रोसीजर फॉलो करना हरासमेंट है तो यही चीज एक कॉमन आदमी के टाइम पे क्यों नहीं आती है? सो एब्सोल्युटली ब्लंडरस अप्रोच. इट ओनली लुक्स गुड एज फार एज द थियरीज इज कंसर्न्ड, बट इन प्रैक्टिस एवरीबडी इज नॉट इक्वल, एज एवरीबडी इज ट्राइंग टू बिकम अनइक्वल इन द सोसाइटी एज सच. देयरफॉर एक बाद में opinion है elite pluralism, but we'll not discuss as far as this because that's more in depth. You'll only understand when you know the depth of elite as well as pluralism as such. अब क्वेश्चन ये उठता है कि theories तो बहुत सारी है, which theory is more relevant? Suppose if a question drops in UPSC mains such that discuss which is more theory, which is more important aspect as such. So if you look, the operation of power can be better explained by the constant sum view. The spread or the presence of power can be better explained by the pluralistic theory. So we see that either you can largely break down the question that if the goal of a study is to largely understand that whether everybody has power or not, in that circumstances the pluralistic theory is more true as far as the democratic societies are concerned. But on the other hand, if the operation of power is the goal of a study, then in such circumstances we see that either the constant sum view of power or either the elite theory of power reflects more empirical realities, as in realities at the book or at the theoretical level the power may be well dispersed, but however everybody do not have that capacity to use that dispersed power, and as a result it is always the elites which in any society which dominates as far as the practice of power is concerned.